She was my very first girlfriend, and she just killed me. And she killed Asya. She lied to me. She used me. And in the end, I truly hated that bitch. And I'm actually afraid of something like that happening again.
One good villain. That's what today's topic is about. High School DxD's one good villain. There are dozens of villains in High School DxD. Some of them are good, some of them are bad, some of them are interesting, some of them are dull. But out of all of the villains in the series, none of them come close to the impact or importance that Raynare has, especially on our main character Issei. During the duration of High School DxD, Issei's constantly battling himself. He's constantly going through an internal struggle, a combination of self-doubt, anxiety, and fear. Fear of losing, fear of loving, fear of rejection, all caused by one person, Raynare. High School DxD's one good villain. But before we get into this Raynare character analysis, I gotta give a big shout out to the Jonkler. This dude sent me $5 just so I could see this video request. So of course I had to come through. So thank you, Jonkler. And if you want to make sure your request gets seen, you can also send a request through Supers, or you can join the channel membership where I ask my members for their video requests, which I'm working on the next one. Again, thank you, Jonkler, for the video request. But let's get back into this video. Before I get into the effects Raynare had on Issei, I have to talk about Raynare's initial appearance and Issei's character, and how these two things go together. So this is basically just a prequel to the Issei character essay I'm making. But on the surface, Raynare's initial appearance doesn't really seem like anything special, but there actually is more there than even I originally thought. Issei Hyodo, the protagonist of High School DxD, a complete degenerate with only 2 friends, a pervert that everyone in his school hates, a loser that no girl would ever want to be with. Despite being so hated, Issei only really wants one thing when we're first introduced to him, and that's a girlfriend. It's brought up multiple times in the first episode that Issei just really wants a girlfriend. I mean, one of the first lines in the series is Issei and his friends complaining that they don't have a girlfriend yet. So this really means something to him. This is like his main goal. This is the first goal we see Issei have. So when a random girl that he's never seen asks him out, of course he accepts. I mean, this is a dream come true for him. He got a girlfriend, and she asked him out. He finally did it. He's living his best life now, flexing on his friends, going out on dates. He's legitimately happy. She killed him without any hesitation. This is the start of Raynare's impact and control over Issei. Issei wanted a girlfriend more than anything, and she killed him. But Raynare didn't just kill Issei, she led him on. She made him feel like he had just accomplished the one thing he wanted in life. She made him think that he found the girl of his dreams. She made him think that he found love. And that's where this trauma stems from. It comes from her leading him on and then burning him. But you already knew that. After Issei's revived and taken in by Rias, his life is completely flipped upside down. Now all of a sudden he has powers, and he's hanging around the most popular girls in school. He's even talking to girls outside of his school, like Asya. He's able to make a new friend in Asya, who he grows closer to day by day. His life is finally starting to look up, until she shows up again. Again, out of nowhere, she pops up. She pops up and then takes Asya from him. The one girl that would give him any positive attention. The one girl that doesn't look at him with disgust. She took her. But she doesn't just take Asya, she kills her. She takes away one of Issei's best friends. She does it right in front of him. And then she mocks Issei while he's holding Asya's half-dead body. This is the scene where we find out who Raynare really is. This is when we get to see truly how twisted and cruel she is. She has no sympathy for anyone. She doesn't care about anyone but herself. She killed Issei because she was told to, which is understandable, but again, the way she did it, asking him out, meeting his friends, going on a date, making him think she was going to kiss him, and then killing him while the sun was setting. She planned this out in a way that wouldn't only physically kill Issei, but would also put him in mental hell, eternally reliving that moment where she killed him. And then later on, she kills the only girl that wanted to be friends with him. Raynare burned Issei so many times and in such cruel ways that this was bound to leave mental scars. The scene of Raynare mocking Issei does a really good job at displaying how wicked she is. This is when I would say the Raynare trauma really starts to sink in deeper, because this is when Issei really finds out how his only girlfriend felt about him. She just flat out says that she was messing with him the whole time and she couldn't wait to kill him. She talks about how bad the date was and how boring of a guy he is. She attacks him at all angles, even talking about him not being able to get get laid. The amount of mockery she does towards Issei in this final battle just makes me feel bad for him. Issei eventually just has to leave the room and go somewhere else because he can't handle what she's saying to him. Issei, in a new room with Asuya's dead body, begins to talk to God. He prays and begs for God to bring Asuya back. He doesn't want anything else in that moment but for his friend to be alive. We see Issei at his lowest point in the entire series right here. He's completely lost. And then she shows up. Again, she pops up to torment Issei while he's at his lowest, mocking him while he's grieving over the death of his friend. Every chance she gets, she makes it clear that she doesn't care about anyone. She's pure evil. She went out of her way to make fun of Issei for not being able to save Asuya, making sure he knows that he's a failure. Because this isn't the first time he failed to save her, it's the third. He couldn't save her from Freed, but luckily she was able to survive. He couldn't save her during his last encounter with Raynare, but luckily Raynare still needed her for the ritual, so he had one last shot to rescue her. And this time he had help from his team, but he still failed. In every sense of the word, Issei is a failure at this point, and Raynare is just making sure that he knows that. She's nailing that idea deeper and deeper in his head, and eventually Issei's had enough and he snaps. He hit rock bottom all because of one character, and now he finally has a chance to deal with that character, and of course he does. He's finally able to beat Raynare and get his revenge. But at that point it didn't really matter, because he failed to save Asuya. He can do whatever he wants to Raynare, but that won't change what he feels from the inside. Failure, regret. His friend is still dead, and so is he mentally. In a weird, twisted way, Raynare kind of won. For a few minutes she was actually able to mentally destroy Issei, and it didn't matter what Issei did to her because Asuya's dead. No matter the outcome of that fight, Issei was still going to be at his lowest point. And of course, while he's at that lowest point, she comes back for one last word.
Issei, please!
Yuma.
I mean, if I really didn't care, would I still be wearing your gift? Please don't tell me you forgot. You bought it for me, don't you remember?
No way. Why do you still have that thing?
How could I possibly get rid of this? It reminds me of you.
This is what I really think did it. This is where the Raynare trauma actually starts. Everything else before that was just the seeds being planted and the roots starting to grow. But this is where we start to actually see life in that Raynare trauma. When she knows she's defeated, she reaches a new low and hits Issei where it really hurts. She becomes Yuma, the only girl to ask Issei out, the girl that was pretending to enjoy the date with him, the girl that started it all. She comes back to try to get some pity points from Issei. It's absolutely diabolical and extremely manipulative. You can literally see the trauma being planted into Issei's mind when he's reflecting on his times with Yuma. Even when Raynare is dead, you can still tell that Issei isn't ever going to recover from this experience. Raynare's dead, Asuya gets revived and everyone goes home, and Issei still hasn't recovered from what Raynare did to him mentally. And that's really all Raynare is. She's just mind games. She's not the strongest, she's not the smartest, yet somehow she had the greatest effect on Issei because of how close she was to him and how she used that to get into his head. Killing him when he least expected it, and then mocking him at every chance she got, even when she knew she was about to die. Even during their first fight, she made fun of his sacred gear. A sacred gear, one of the most powerful weapons in the series. She made fun of his. Of course, she thought it was just a twice critical that doubles your power and not the boosted gear that doubles your power every 10 seconds, but she was still able to make him feel like his power wasn't enough. And she's the only character that we've seen that's been able to do that to Issei. The only one that can get under his skin to this extent. And that's what makes her special. She's able to impact our main character in a way that we've never seen before. She's able to completely change Issei and the way he interacts with everyone around him. Her impact is felt throughout the entire series. It's incredible. After Raynare dies, we see Issei take a crazy hit to his confidence. And this happens for a few reasons: the pressure Rias puts him under, his inability to be a devil, and his experience with Raynare. Like I said, he failed to save Asuya 3 times, and she laughed at him for it. She made it known that he was a failure because of this. And this is one of the reasons why he loses so much confidence in himself at the end of the first season. We see him acting strange. He hesitates to use his dragon shot, He starts comparing himself to the teammates around him, and this eventually leads to him breaking down to Rias. During this breakdown, he calls himself a failure due to his inability to save his friends. It's a really impactful scene where we get to see Issei acting like a real person. We get to see that he has his own mental problems to deal with, and these problems were in part caused because of Raynare. Rias has to cheer him up and show him that he has the potential, and he just needs to believe in himself. But that's something he couldn't do because of Raynare. And this is why I love the first season so much. We get to see this vulnerable side of Issei, and you kind of start to miss it as the series continues. And we don't get to fully see it again until season 4, which is where we see the biggest effect Raynare had on Issei. Raynare was one of the causes of Issei's lack of confidence, but she wasn't the only cause for that problem. But when it comes to Issei and how he interacts with the people around him, that was all caused by Raynare. Because now Issei cannot talk to girls. He cannot see himself getting with a girl. It's just too good to be true for him. He got burned by Raynare before, and he's not trying to feel that again. These girls throw themselves at him because they have genuine love for him, but he doesn't see it that way, because he thought the same for Raynare. One of the biggest complaints people have for Issei's character is his obliviousness, but I never really understood that because Issei's not oblivious, he's traumatized. He fell for the same thing with Raynare, so it makes sense why he would be weary about it with these other girls. I do get where the frustration is, but it's literally spelled out for you in season 4 when Issei breaks down to the girls. The girls finally confront him about his hesitation when it comes to their advances, and we finally get to see a vulnerable Issei. We get to see really just how traumatized he was from this experience with Raynare. This scene is beautiful because as a viewer, you're constantly questioning why Issei doesn't make a move on one of the girls. He's constantly screaming about how much he wants a harem and how much he wants a girlfriend, but when there's one right in front of him, he doesn't do anything. It makes no sense until you get to this episode in season 4 where he reveals his trauma. Then it makes even more sense when you look back at the signs in earlier points of the series. The most obvious one is the dream sequence in season 3. This is one of the best ones because I think it explains Issei's thought process. The girls are all around Issei and they want him, and at first Issei feels the same, he wants them back. It's just a matter of which one, until she shows up. Again, she's here, and she instantly kills the atmosphere. Everything goes completely dark, and she's back mocking him. It completely shakes Issei, and it takes him out of his mood. And then he wakes up, of course. But I like that scene because it's a short and effective way to show that Issei is still feeling the effects of Raynare. This is what I think goes through Issei's head when he's put in the situation where the girl throws themselves at him. He thinks about Raynare and how much she hurt him, and he just can't do it. He can't take it again. He can't handle that level of pain again, because that was the most pain that Issei has ever felt. Issei dies like 5 times throughout the series. He does the impossible by combining his power with the White Dragon's power. He gets stabbed a bunch of times. He gets used as a punching bag, and yet the most pain he ever feels is from Raynare, the mental damage that she inflicted on him. Another really good scene is the Juggernaut Drive scene. This doesn't happen in the light novel, but it does happen in the anime, which is another reason why the anime did the Juggernaut Drive scene a lot better. But in the anime, when Issei is trying to calm down from going Juggernaut Drive, Raynare pops up again. She's there to make sure he knows that he failed again. He failed to save Asya for a 4th time. She just makes him go even crazier. So crazy that even his dragon form starts crying. No matter the situation, no matter how good or how bad Issei feels, Raynare is always there to make his mood even worse. In a scene like the Juggernaut Drive scene, where Issei's told that Asya is dead again and she can't come back this time, Raynare pops up and just makes things even worse. That's the kind of impact she has on our main character. When you think he's at his lowest, she can make him go even lower. It's a really great scene, and it's kind of a shame they didn't do anything similar to this in the light novel, or maybe they did and I just forgot it. But this is like the only good thing to come out of the Loki's curse thing. Those are the 2 main ones in the anime that reminds the viewer that Raynare is still traumatizing this man. But there are even some small moments too, like when Issei thought he was nothing but a pillow to Rias, or when Issei's on a literal date with Akano and he gets jealous because he thinks Akano is going to get a boyfriend. Issei is is on a date with Akano, and he still thinks he isn't good enough to be with her. And that's all because of Raynare. Because Issei was on a date with Raynare and she was pretending to like him, he thinks that there's still a chance that Akano is going to do the same thing to him while they're on their date. He doesn't think he's good enough anymore. He's completely lost all confidence in his ability with women. It's always too good to be true with him, and it's never going to happen to him. He's basically just given up. He can't look at a girl in a romantic way without thinking of her. She's forever cemented herself in his mind. Before Issei met Raynare, you could tell that he had a lot more confidence with girls. He was a lot more forward with Raynare than he was with every other girl in the series. The whole time on the date, he wasn't thinking about how he wasn't good enough. He was thinking about what they were going to do next. He didn't question Raynare at any point while they were dating. He held her hand. He was getting ready to kiss her. The way he acted while he was dating Raynare is completely different from how he acts when he's with the other girls. During the first half of the first episode, you can see what Issei was like before she arrived. His first girlfriend, the only girl he was able to look at without having doubts. The only girl that he was forward with. The only girl that he could look at in a romantic way without feeling pain. Yuma Amano. Issei changed so much because of what she did to him. The way he views girls, the way he views relationships, the way he views himself, all affected by one character, Raynare. High School DxD's one good villain. That's the end of that video right there. I don't really know what to say for this little outro. You know, of course, my bad for not posting in a month. The usual stuff. I just wanted to take a moment to thank the people that are still in the membership for some reason. Y'all can cancel that if you want, since I'm barely posting. But Baka Sensei, Inferno Torch, Ogozu, Chaos Glitch, Michael Whitworth, Cocabill, Wumple, Eric Pineda, Alex, Flav, and Teratoma Skyline, thank you all for sticking around. I'm getting to those video requests. The next video should be another video request, so you can all look forward to that, I guess. I've been feeling a lot more motivated recently, so we'll see if that means more posts. You know, I've been binging FitX Fearless streams. Y'all should check them out. It's actually hilarious. But anyways, I'm gonna get out of here. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe, and thanks for watching.